The vices of excessive sloth, gluttony, and lust, along with covetousness, have been present since the advent of sin in the world. Humans are susceptible to being controlled by these addictions, and every individual has likely succumbed to them. Countless thinkers throughout history have explored these vices, which trigger our irrational tendencies, cloud our judgment, and incline us towards base desires. These addictions can even overwhelm reason, leading individuals to rationalize their addictions as acceptable or less harmful than they really are. Stoicism stands out as a significant philosophical doctrine in the treatment of addictions. According to the Stoics, addictions undermine reason and human freedom, reducing addicted individuals to creatures driven by instincts and desires. Remember, historical philosophy focuses on the relentless pursuit of virtue, which involves developing rational habits that combat vice and pave the way for a full and joyful life. Addiction, as you may have experienced, brings profound unhappiness despite temporary gratification. Your fleeting satisfaction ends up leaving behind suffering, anguish, and discontent. Although addictions seem to fill and satisfy us, in reality they leave us empty, inflicting wounds on our souls that only virtue can heal. Marco Aurelio once observed that vices are their own form of punishment, leading to self-destruction. Epictetus added that vices are formidable enemies one can meet, but virtue serves as the strongest defense against them. In this video, I intend to guide individuals towards self-awareness, helping them gain control over their addictions and ultimately promoting greater virtue and happiness within themselves. In order to address this topic, I will divide the video into two distinct parts. First, I will explain the nature of addiction and its historical context. Then I will offer 10 guidelines for facing vice through virtue. From the perspective of Stoicism, addiction is characterized by being a morally erroneous and harmful behavior to the one who practices it. It emerges as a disturbance of the soul, causing it to lean towards irrational desires, distorting judgment, causing suffering, and eroding inner peace and serenity. Examples of vices such as vanity, anger, fear, lust, avarice, and gluttony are widely recognized. Marcus Aurelius insightfully clarifies what constitutes these deviations of the soul, stating that ignorance is the main and most harmful vice, followed by lack of self-control. At its core, vice emerges as a result of a misinterpretation arising from an inadequate application of the virtue of wisdom. When dominated by addiction, our understanding follows two possible paths. First, we may misidentify something harmful as beneficial, or we may recognize something harmful as such and still try to convince ourselves that it is beneficial. Regardless of the path chosen, the result is the same. Our clarity of discernment is clouded, and error manifests itself through our biased reason. This makes room for the pursuit of pleasure and desires, prioritizing momentary satisfaction to the detriment of true happiness. Thus, we are trapped by natural impulses, which are irrational and self-centered, relegating us to a state closer to animals than human beings. Those who let themselves be carried away by addiction renounce the reasoning ability that defines us as human beings, becoming slaves to their own passions. Such addiction to addiction not only brings us closer to animal behavior, but also reflects a clear lack of self-respect and consideration for humanity. In addition to lowering us to a more animal level, addiction transforms us into manipulable dependents, imprisoning us as slaves to our own passions, resulting in the annulment of our true inner freedom. Our liberty is compromised, rendering us unable to make choices between various actions, thus becoming captives of our vices. In this state, others possess the ability to wield influence over us as they please, effortlessly manipulating our vulnerabilities stemming from these deviations. Marcus Aurelius articulates that beyond the initial misstep of ignorance lies the misjudgment of weak self-control. At this point, reason becomes entangled, surrendering to fleeting pleasures and losing the capacity to govern our passions in alignment with virtuous principles. Desire and virtue, according to history, are fundamentally incompatible. This is why addictions, which prioritize desires and distance us from virtue, create a substantial divide from the serenity and joyful existence that serve as the ultimate goals for every human being. However, it's important to recognize that succumbing to addiction does not signify a permanent state. it is a rectifiable mistake from which we can emerge. As Epictetus wisely noted, the most potent antidote to addiction is virtue. Thus, the teachings of Stoicism are crucial for our daily battles. Engaging in consistent practice becomes imperative. Striving for increased rationality, serenity, and gradual renunciation of vices becomes the path to self-mastery. This journey, though demanding, aligns with the grand objective of achieving authentic happiness. If complete happiness were effortlessly attainable, its allure and significance would diminish. Reflecting on history, it becomes evident that many philosophical traditions converge upon these notions. While you might resonate with these concepts, practical steps might be the next question. How can you tangibly combat addiction in your daily life? Where should you commence? This inquiry sets the stage for the second part of this video, dedicated to offering guidance on breaking free from the grip of vices and nurturing the growth of virtue. The first step is self-awareness, comprehending the nature of the adversary you're confronting. Gaining insight into its mechanisms is essential to mount a successful counteroffensive. It's crucial to engage in introspection and contemplation, pinpointing your vulnerabilities and underlying vices. Deep down, we're all conscious of the influences that alter our hearts, and recognizing these points leads us to understand the sources of our inner turmoil and discontent. Identifying vices like greed, lust, gluttony, and selfishness is essential, and having a clear understanding of what you're fighting against is a significant step. Bear in mind that this is a lengthy and challenging journey. Overcoming addictions is intricate because they've taken root deeply within us. During this process, setbacks are likely, and it's natural if you occasionally revert to old habits. What truly matters is your determination to persist and consistently return to the fight, refusing to abandon your pursuit of liberation from these vices. Your unwavering effort will inevitably lead to the day when you conquer them entirely. Step 3 involves determining your motivation. Reflect on the compelling reasons that drive your desire to break free from addiction. While enhanced happiness is a primary goal, individual motivations may differ. It could involve saving money, improving health, nurturing better relationships, and more. Remember, these reasons hold immense value and deserve far more attention than the vices that hold you back. Establishing realistic goals is the fourth step. Choose objectives that are challenging yet attainable. Strive for a balance, not too easy, but not insurmountable either. Acknowledge that triumphing over addiction demands effort, and success will be a result of consistent progress. For those deeply entrenched in a particular addiction, the fifth step advocates a gradual approach. Instead of attempting an abrupt cessation, start small. Set incremental goals, whether daily, weekly, or monthly. This gradual progression is akin to the patient efforts of ants collecting grain by grain until they create a substantial accomplishment. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that virtue isn't something acquired overnight. It's the outcome of constant effort in managing our vices. Consequently, it's important to avoid precarious situations. If you're aware of your weaknesses and aspire to overcome them, take deliberate steps to evade circumstances that might lead you back into those vices. This might entail adjusting certain habits and altering your surroundings to minimize temptations. Remember, the sacrifices you make are worthwhile, and courage is essential in maintaining this resolve. Steer clear of those who encourage or enable your addiction. Genuine concern for your well-being is reflected in someone who values your virtue and happiness. Someone who encourages your vices is not genuinely invested in your growth. It can be challenging, yet it's crucial to understand that separating from individuals who drag you into addiction is beneficial for both parties. By doing so, you're acting in the best interest of both yourself and the other person. Evaluate your relationships and let go of those that deep down you know are detrimental to both sides. Don't hesitate to seek assistance. No one can solve all problems alone. Reaching out to others can offer valuable support. Many people have faced similar vices, and their experiences can provide insights. Whether it's family, friends, philosophers, or professionals, there are individuals who can offer meaningful help. Lastly, internalize the distinction between momentary pleasure and enduring fulfillment. As you navigate the challenges of addiction and recovery, you'll come to recognize a substantial disparity between the two. The transient pleasure gained from indulging in vices pales in comparison to the profound contentment that comes from pursuing a virtuous and purposeful life. The fleeting gratification derived from vices contrasts sharply with the profound contentment achieved by conquering them through virtuous actions. This enduring satisfaction, attained by triumphing over vices through virtue, brings boundless joy and tranquility to the soul. Despite the challenges posed by resisting addiction, the ultimate happiness derived from conquering these vices is enduring and profound. Consider the harm inflicted upon oneself and others when succumbing to vices. Often, we downplay the magnitude of this harm, convincing ourselves it's insignificant or non-existent. However, addiction leaves a deep and lasting scar on the soul, leading to unhappiness and misfortune. It showcases a significant lack of self-love, as it involves inflicting harm and denying what is good. Furthermore, addiction's impact extends beyond the individual, affecting those around us, either through sharing, encouragement, or tolerance. It operates like a spiral, similar to a black hole, eventually engulfing everything and everyone in its path. Refrain from harming yourself and others. Perpetually strive for goodness and virtue, as this not only benefits personal growth but also contributes positively to society and the world. In conclusion, allow me to share wisdom from historical philosophers on addiction. It's a hurdle that must be overcome to attain greatness and wisdom. Vices function as shackles, constraining us from attaining freedom and inner peace. True greatness doesn't lie in avoiding vices but in successfully surmounting them. What are your thoughts on the historical teachings about addiction? Do you grapple with any addiction that troubles you, impeding your ability to overcome it? I eagerly await your response in the comments. I trust this video aids in recognizing the malevolence of addictions and their far-reaching effects. The issue of controlling addictions and the pursuit of virtue is a deeply relevant and intricate topic that goes back to ancient philosophies and remains a contemporary concern. Our age of constant stimulation and instant gratification has amplified the challenges associated with addiction, making the pursuit of virtue all the more crucial. It's remarkable how the pursuit of momentary pleasure often leads us to make decisions that can harm our long-term well-being. What looks like quick satisfaction can actually create a vicious cycle of discontent and suffering. The approach proposed by historical philosophers, such as the pursuit of a virtuous life, offers a solid way to overcome these challenges. However, it is essential to recognize the complexity of the process. Fighting addictions takes inner strength, determination, and constant self-examination. Recognition of one's weaknesses and the willingness to face them with courage are crucial steps towards self-transformation. In addition, understanding that this path is not linear and may include setbacks is essential to maintain motivation. The impact of addictions is not just limited to the individual. It extends to relationships and society as a whole. The quest for virtue, therefore, is not just a personal journey, but an act of service to the community. By overcoming our own weaknesses, we contribute to a healthier and more positive environment. At the heart of this discussion is the fundamental question of the balance between immediate pleasure and lasting satisfaction. By choosing virtue, we are choosing a deeper, more lasting joy that transcends fleeting gratifications. The pursuit of virtue is no easy task, but its reward, a state of inner peace and self-mastery, is truly priceless. Therefore, in the face of modern temptations and internal challenges, it is imperative to consider the lessons offered by historical philosophy and apply them in our lives. The pursuit of virtue is a call to a life of authenticity, personal growth, and positive contribution to society, and its importance resonates with our contemporary journey of self-discovery and self-fulfillment.